So hello everyone that's in the room. Welcome to the MeetFounders Startup Pitches. Here with my amazing judges. They will be watching over the pitch. The pitch will be 4 minutes long, followed by 5 minutes of questions and feedback. And to start off, we have Daniel from Aphrodite.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm the founder and CEO of Aphrodite. We're an analytics startup in San Francisco that focuses on crowdfunding and e-commerce. So we see a pretty massive shift happening in how businesses operate, and we think that we're the first to tackle it. About 25 years ago, if a business went online and did e-commerce, it would just be another part of their business. It would be part of a big integrated tech stack, and they would sell stuff, but all the data would be in-house. With businesses that we work with today, new businesses we see are exclusively on platforms, and enterprises are actually starting to poke their heads out and start using Shopify, Amazon, stuff like that. Our prediction is that in 20 years, this will be the norm, and new businesses are going to be using these. The problem that we found is if everything is on platforms and a business doesn't have any of its own data anymore, what is the actual source of truth? And so in this case, you have two options. Either you pay Looker $50,000 and learn a new programming language, and it takes 2 months to onboard, or you actually try and go into an Excel and figure it out yourself. That takes a lot of time. We think the best solution is what we built, which is Aphrodite. Aphrodite takes all of these platforms and builds a business intelligence dashboard in 90 seconds that shows you the financial health of your company, as well as going into some of the platforms and how to optimize them. It really takes existing data that's already there, but just reinterprets it and strips out a lot of the stuff that doesn't matter. So for example, this is actually the same data set, whether you're looking at on Facebook or on ours, it's plugging in the API to reinterpret it. It's also, if you're a visual person, it just takes everything and visualizes it. It's basically just a business intelligence dashboard, but all the data is coming from your own platform data. We basically let the marketing team actually work among themselves, while also reporting to the C-suite stuff that they really need to know today. There's a lot of other people trying us, and we think we're the first one to do it cross-platform. Sellex does it on Amazon, Stripe has done it, but it's Stripe revenue only. We've entirely self-service. Because it's entirely self-service, we can actually build this and deploy it much cheaper. So while Looker is implemented by hand, it'll cost you $4 grand a month. We can charge you $100 a month. Business model is super simple. Charge $100 a month. A team, which is unlimited, is $300 a month. And then our enterprise use case is usually white labeling because an agency wants reporting taken off their hands. Our inspiration is actually much more old school. It's the Bloomberg Business Terminal from the 80s, where they discovered that all of this data was coming online. You could put it together and actually create a lot of value for people. That's the opportunity we see, but with this platform data. Who are we? We're actually a bunch of Silicon Valley veterans, total nerds from a lot of different places. And we had an ad agency and built this software in-house, opened it up to the world. And this is our software startup that grew out of the agency. In terms of traction, we did 50K in SaaS revenue last year, and just finished retooling it and did some outbound and tripled our users in the last 3 weeks. And as for the raise, we did a small pre-seed round in the last couple of months. We're raising 200K, and we're about 150K in. And if you want to follow up, I'm just Daniel at Aphrodite.io.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Judges, you can go ahead and come back on video and audio. And Dan, if you could unshare your screen, and judges, you can take it away.
Great. I'll go ahead and dive in. First of all, thank you for the presentation. Great job, especially on timing. A question for you is, what makes you think that this isn't on anybody's radar?
The individual pieces are. Alex figured out this is really important for Amazon. Stripe figured out this is really important for Stripe. But I don't think anyone has noticed that to solve the problem, you really have to go cross-platform. So I think the individual pieces are on the radar. The cross-platform need, we think, for the first one to address it.
Okay, I would be careful with that.
Got it.
Daniel, did you say? Go ahead, Maya.
I'm wondering, you said you made 50K in revenue over the past year. What customers did you have so far, and what is your path to commercialization?
So it was mostly crowdfunding customers, because in crowdfunding, the money moves much faster. You have to spend about $100,000 in 30 days. So that was most of our customers. And as they moved from crowdfunding to e-commerce, which is sort of the natural evolution, they stayed with us. So we moved into e-commerce as well, and now we're onboarding, Make Magazine and Maker Faire. They're an e-commerce customer, for example.
Okay.
Daniel, have you given some thought on your go-to-market in the midterm? Like, how are you going to ramp, and how you're going to find your customers?
Yeah, so we've seen that a lot of marketing solutions are sort of hocus pocus, and it's hard to differentiate. So we found that partnerships and channel partners are key for us. For example, we've been invited to speak at by LaunchBoom, and in their pitch competition, and like something they win. So we've done outbound, and it's been hard to have credibility. So we found channel partners are sort of a number one way. And Indiegogo just added us as in their experts directory. That helped a lot.
Have you began those conversations yet, other than Indiegogo?
So people are approaching us right now. So we're a little bit reactive. I'd like to be more proactive. So LaunchBoom is inviting us to speak at their conference. A augmented reality retail startup just asked us to partner. Sort of bigger people come in, and we're trying to figure out the strategy of who we should partner with.
Okay, great.
So, Ruben, you mentioned that the differentiator is that you guys are able to display the data quickly, 90 seconds, strip out all the useless data, show the meaningful data graphically. Did I catch that right? That's kind of the differentiator?
Yeah, it's really fast, and we do a lot of the data pulling behind the scenes. So every 15 minutes, it'll sync millions of data points. So when you log in, it's really just showing the pre-formatted data. So everything loads like that.
I don't know enough about this type of analytics and the usage. I haven't used it myself. I understand it enough, but does it require any sort of onboarding, engagement, consulting from your team, or is it very user-friendly on their own?
That was our mission, was to just make it totally self-service, self-onboarding, and we've actually poached 2 customers from Looker and 1 from Clearbank, just because the onboarding.
So the idea is that you don't need someone like Looker, you don't need that, and that this should be pretty self-sufficient at these costs.
Yeah, we posed as a customer with Looker and found out you have to learn a new programming language. That was like, okay, we think we might have something different.
So, feedback, I already previewed your deck prior. You like the way your team looks like a great team. I like the way you displayed the team. It caught my attention, just a little feedback. And I think anytime you can show history of a team working together and having done other successful projects, it catches our eye quickly.
that is time. Thank you, Daniel, for that. And there'll be time to catch up with these guys after as well. I'm going to have to ask you to go and take the screen off. And Jan, if you're ready.
Hello, everyone, dear judges, guests. So let's talk about the future. My name is Jan, CEO of Umbrosys. What's going on right now? Technology replaces substances. Electric vehicles instead of fuel. Mobile phones instead of paper and plastic cards. Vape instead of tobacco. So what can replace the harmful stimulating substances and drinks which people take inside their bodies? The problem is that people want extra abilities. They use harmful substances and drinks to become a better version of themselves. What if we can propose them a convenient wearable device that does the same job by electricity, that is effective, healthy, stealthy, safe, and proven? Umbrosys company presents another watch, a stay awake watch, also known as electric Red Bull. So we spent years for researches and production. So now the serial device is ready. We already sold above 1,100 units, mostly to the US, with 97% satisfaction rate and price around $100, with high margin and go to market with CAC below $5. It's opportunity to create a stay awake watch market, which is comparable to the energy drinks market, above 30 million people of customers in the US and about $15 billion just in the US. The customers love our product. They think it works great. And how does it work? By a special kind of electric stimulation. It's controlled by programs, so turned on once, it works for hours. It's safe, proven, and not FDA regulated. Also, the device is full of innovations. There are 5 fields of it which is never used before. So that's why we have so many advantages. First of all, we provide instant effect, while they give you just deferred result. And they cause heart problems, brain damage, cancer, while we are completely healthy. And they exhaust your body, while we stream the energy into the body. And when we get just 1% of this market, we already will be $1 billion company. So what we're going to do is to build an iconic brand, a niche pioneer and a symbol of the category. With current ask of $250K, we will achieve a $2 million revenue already in first quarter, because we will use a video content hook to warm up a large and cold audience. We have a well-balanced team for this. I am a serial entrepreneur with a chemical background. Then we have ex-Red Bull executive with 9 years in marketing. Then we have PhD in physiology, then skilled CTO and experienced digital marketologist. So the best part is go to market, because we can film so good and so successful commercial, which will provide a high engagement on each level of engagement. It will create the right first impression, an extra abilities device, not a medical device. That's why eventually we will get a very big conversion from our top. But even if the practical conversion will be 5 times smaller than that, even then we will get CAC below $5. So that's how it works. We show the result in an attractive way, and people are excited to pay us upfront. That's how it works for our harmful colleagues. For us, it will work even better because we represent the 21st century and we provide a new experience which makes people curious. We have a plan for 5 episodes of the content within 2 years, which are cheap in production and very easy to promote. That's how we will get a 1 million unit sales within 2 years. And the entry barrier is very high. It's unbearable for no-name manufacturers, and for a brand player, it takes 3-4 years to bring a device like that from scratch. And right after capturing the market, we will bring a new advanced model. So thank you for your attention. When you invest in our company, you make a hell ton of money, have a good time with the most creative and cool people, witness a spectacular marketing case, protect the public health, and last but not least, make a hell ton of money. Thank you for your attention. I'm ready for your questions. Yeah.
My first question is it on your wrist?
Correct. It's like a wearable, like a watch.
No. Is it on yours? Let me see your wrist. It was a joke.
Not right now. Yeah.
My question is around your cost of goods. Is the product design, and what's your cost of goods, and what are your current gross margins?
Gross margins above 70%, 73%, something like that.
What are your cost of goods for the device that you sell for $89, $99?
About, yeah. Currently, I can't disclose this information, but the gross margin is around 70% or more. Yeah, because we use direct-to-customer sales.
Okay, so you're assuming no channels.
Excuse me, which channels?
You're assuming that you're selling directly to the consumer and not going through a third party?
Correct, because when we use some dealers, they get all the control, all the feedback, all the all the communications with the customers, which is not good for our business.
How many units have you produced so far, and have you had any customers yet?
Currently, we have sold above 1,100 units, mostly to the US.
Are you selling all online?
Correct. Online via our own website or on Amazon.
On Amazon.
What was the sale? What was your when you sell it?
Sorry, bad connection. Once again.
What was the price that you're selling it at?
Around $100, from 81 to 1.12.
How
I
have
know
you
you had to speed through your last slide. Could you go into the intellectual property that you have covered?
Yeah, one moment.
John, while you're doing that, do you have a demo? I assume this is a show very well in video. Show in future pitches.
Sorry, we have some interruptions with your connection. Could you reply one more time? Repeat.
Go ahead and answer your question.
How many patents do you have?
All right. So we have done all R&D on volunteers that provide the effect, and we actually have practical data from paying customers with 97% satisfaction rate.
Do you have any patents?
Yeah, we have, but we don't rely on patents because it's mostly illusion of protection, right? So we rely on marketing advantage, on aggressive content strategy, and because it's very scientifically lauded product. You know, it requires many researches, and from competition, it will take about 3-4 years to just bring their own solution.
I'm just also curious how it works, because I know there's some that work through neuromodulation and they actually go on your head. So I was curious if it's as effective when it's on your wrist.
Correct. It works by special kind of electric tense stimulation. It feels like adjustable electric impulses with very specific special structure. Yeah, from little tickling to something more more sensitive, and it's very effective. So it gives you instant effect.
Have you done any studies to show the safety of this? Has it been certified in any way? How can you prove that this is what you say it is?
Correct. Yeah, we all set with certificates. We have everything to sell In the US and in the Europe, we have CE certificate, CPSC, and some others. The device is not FDA regulated, so we all set here.
Could you explain a little bit your target customer?
The time is actually up for Jan. Sorry, judges. Jan, I'm going to have to take you off the screen. But yeah, no, you can easily connect with the judges after the event or in the networking session. But thank you for your pitch. And thank you, judges, for your questions.
All right. Hi, I'm John, and I am the founder and CEO of Zelgor. Zelgor is building an interactive entertainment empire with our army of rambunctious aliens called noobs. The noobs are a unique IP that we're leveraging to disrupt the $150 billion global games industry. In 2018, video games actually eclipsed TV and streaming to become the most profitable sector of major entertainment. We're starting our company in mobile games because it's the largest and fastest growing sector of the video games industry, with many high-profile success stories like Candy Crush Saga, Clash of Clans, and Pokemon Go, each generating over $1 billion in revenue in their lifetime. At its peak, Pokemon Go brought in as much as $2.5 million in a single day. Each of these companies reached multi-billion-dollar valuations within 2 years of just launching a single game. Our team consists of industry veterans, each with over a decade of experience in their respective fields. Collectively, we've worked on games like The Sims, BioShock Infinite, Dungeons & Dragons Online, and more. We're backed by famous venture capitalist Tim Draper, founder of Atari Nolan Bushnell, and the creator of Guitar Hero Kai Wong. These world-class investors all understood that we are a team built to take advantage of the opportunity in mobile games. That opportunity is that there are still games that came out on Game Boy over 20 years ago that are far superior to games that are available on your phone even today. When the iPhone first came out in 2008, I was pumped because I was like, oh man, it's a Game Boy and a cell phone in one device. The games that are going to be available are going to be absolutely amazing. When the space finally emerged, the games were shockingly simple. It was things like flicking a paper ball into a trash can or slicing fruit or cutting rope. Given the space is so lucrative, yet with still so much room for improvement, we view this as a massive opportunity and one that our team is built to take advantage of. Our first series of games are built around our unique media IP called the Noobs. The Noobs are built to follow the path of the billion-dollar IP Angry Birds by using mobile games as a launchpad to become a multimedia franchise. We currently have 2 games in development built around the Noobs IP, Noobs in Space and Noob Tubes. Our first game, Noobs in Space, is the world's introduction to our race of humorous aliens. Led by the ridiculous leader Major Noob, the Noobs are perpetually flying around the universe, exploring cool new planets, and dodging obstacles along the way. Our second game, Noob Tubes, is the sequel to Noobs in Space and is the story of the Noobs discovering Earth. The game introduces a piece of noob technology called the Noob Tube, a fruit-launching backpack the noobs use to battle each other for control of the planet. Our Noob Tube battles are incredibly spectator-friendly and have significant esports potential. The game is tied into the real-world map as players compete for territories all over the world, even in your own backyard. We plan to monetize these games and the noobs in a variety of ways. The most important piece to our business model, though, is that our games are free to play. Free to play makes it as easy as possible for anyone to try out and share with their friends. Players can spend money on virtual items within each game like noobs, UFOs, costumes, and more. We'll also be selling merchandise like shirts, hats, and stuffed noob plushies. And as the Noobs IP becomes more popular, we'll expand our games into other game platforms and even expand our content into other forms of media like TV and movies. We'll also be licensing the Noobs IP to other companies and brands that can help the Noobs reach larger audiences. We have an amazingly talented team backed by a group of world-class investors with an IP that's about to take over the universe. We're currently raising $535,000 to launch our first product, And if you'd like to join forces with us before it's too late, you can reach out via email or invest directly through our offering page at netcapital.com/companies/Zelgor. With that being said, I will open the floor.
Fantastic. Yeah, John, if you could just unshare your screen,
Sure.
and judges will come back on, and I will start the timer for the questions.
John, how far along is the first game?
Yeah, it's a great question. We started ramping up development last March. We are getting ready to go into our first launch phase, which is the tech launch. We're getting ready to start that in February. Our hope is to develop our content further out to be ready for a soft launch in June, at which point we hope to get up to around 10,000 downloads, around 35% day one retention. And once we get up to around 500 daily active users in our first game, that's when we're planning to do a full-scale launch. So we're about 6-7 months away from a full-scale launch, and only a month or two away of doing our first initial tech launch.
The initial launch is going to be all app-based, iOS, Android. Is that what I got?
Yep, absolutely. Android, iOS, tablets, you name it.
I'm just wondering, I think it's definitely, apt to say that video game or mobile video game usage is increasing, especially during lockdown. Everyone's playing Animal Crossing or you name it. How do you differentiate yourself from games like that, which are also available, in the App Store for iPhone or on Google Play?
Yeah, absolutely. If I had more than 4 minutes, I have a whole slide dedicated to that very question. There's really 3 elements that you need to differentiate yourself. The big one is the unique feel. For us, that's the noobs. You need something about your game that makes you stand out. And for us, it's our unique alien characters that we hope we can get people to sort of fall in love with and form an emotional attachment to. From there, you also need to build your game with excellent game structure. Nolan Bushnell, who's obviously one of our founders, he coined the expression back in the 60s. He said, all the best games are simple to learn and difficult to master. And in mobile, you get a lot of games that are really easy to learn, but very few games that are also then difficult to master. And the difficult to master part is important because as a business, that's where you're creating all of your long-term value for your users. That's how you're keeping them coming back for days, months, and years. So when you combine a game that has something about it that feels unique with a game that has excellent game structure, the final piece of that puzzle is making it discoverable. So having features in your game that allow people to share it with their friends, allowing people to post things online and social media. So it's about maximizing your game's ability to be shareable while also having something about it that feels unique. But ultimately, there's 2 things. One, you're never going to be able to do a better job of getting someone to play your game than if it comes from a trusted recommendation from a friend. And the number 2 thing to keep in mind is that gamers aren't mutually exclusive. They often play a number of different games. So it's not always about getting somebody to play your game at the expense of another game. The barriers to entry to try a game are so low that oftentimes it's just about getting somebody to be willing to try your game for 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, I agree that cross-platform shareability is extremely important, especially, with the rise of TikTok. If you're able to somehow access those
absolutely. TikTok right now is the Wild West, and mobile games in general, I think, do an amazing job of generating attention, particularly on platforms like Facebook. Facebook is sort of the big established platform at this point, but we think there's a massive opportunity to take advantage of TikTok in order to generate attention. The noobs we already have them doing some TikTok dances that players can see in our demo of NoobTube. So yeah, absolutely. And as platforms continue to emerge, we'll continue to think of creative ways that we can use them to generate attention.
Can you tell me a little more about, you refer to your noobs as your IP. Tell me a little bit more about that. What makes them your intellectual property from a value perspective?
Sure. I mean, we created the characters from scratch. We've created, the stories, the individual characters. I mean, it's all completely unique, organic, internal in-house. And the value there is, when you look at companies like Nintendo, right? Or Apple or Amazon. What do all these companies do once they generate, unlimited piles of money? They all move into the content space because ultimately, genres of games come and go, game platforms come and go, but the content, the IP, is what creates that value over time. So for us, we're really trying to get people emotionally invested in the story of the noobs and the characters. And so that's really, when you talk about the IP and how it sort of creates the value, we think that's where all the value, really is. I mean, the games can create enormous value, for a period of time, but, migrating that audience from one game to the next and ultimately into shows and movies, that's how the IP inherently, creates all the value for our business.
Thank you, John. The time is just up there. Great presentation. Once again, great questions from the judges. I'm sure you guys can catch up after if needs be. So I'm going to remove you off here now, John, but thank you again for coming.
All right, let's move right ahead. Hello, everyone. My name is Saqib, and I'm the founder at Clubify.com. So just a little bit about myself. I actually taught a university course on app development back in 2010. That course went really well, and started my consulting business. So was involved with over 500 apps and 65 million downloads for those businesses. So thankfully had a great experience. I noticed a troubling trend though in 2014, where I noticed there was a coach. He had 5,000 followers, and when he was posting on this social media platform, he was only reaching 5% of his audience. On top of that, his followers, they started getting competitors' ads on their news feeds all of a sudden, right? So it just led to me to understand that, people don't control the community or their data on these platforms. If a person works so hard to build up their community, they should get up to 100% reach to their audience. And they should decide which advertisers are shown to their community. So I really decided right then and there that there needs to be a better system, So I actually filed a patent back in 2014, and, to actually work on a system just like that. And I actually launched Clubify.com in June 2019, like soft launch. And Clubify is all about building a community that you truly own, with up to 100% reach. And basically you have your own app in a day to encompass all of that. And happy to say it's been awesome. We've been getting great feedback. These are the literal words from our clients. Intuit said, we made their job more profitable, more fun, and made their team more productive. So this is an example of an influencer. Sarah Seals, we're launching their Inspired Mommy app, actually. They have, a big following on a social media platform. And essentially, here are the benefits, right? So when a person sends their message to their community, up to 100% of the community will actually receive the message. Influencers like Sarah, because they own their data, they own their community, they decide which advertisers are going to be shown to their community, right? So they basic advertisers are paying them, and they can sell their membership plans, courses, videos, and so forth. This whole platform is we're building an AI back into all this, and actually will help the business owner identify the consumers that are ready to buy. And again, this whole platform is also all gamified as well. So we're using points and whatnot to actually drive engagement. So we have about 18 clients now, in fact, not 17, and we have Intuit as a major client. We've validated the model with over 10 influencers. We've actually grown 3x in 2020 versus 2019, and we're actually looking to grow 10x this year. Market opportunity just for the premium content alone is about 217 billion. And in terms of market opportunity, this is a mega trend where people are understanding, what are the drawbacks of social media. Great example is the social dilemma on Netflix. Our go-to-market strategy is using channel markets, right? Our channel partners, like Intuit, they have 400 businesses they're telling us that provide them marketing material so they can sell on our behalf, for example. Our leadership team, great experience. Happy to say, Lucia, for example, our director of membership and culture, she has about 500,000 members that she's basically managed and so forth. Board advisors, Emil, he heads a $14 billion fund. Tuan is an experienced tech entrepreneur. Business model, we have 90% gross margin.
Your time is up, Sakib.
Okay, thank you. And 115x return, and we're looking for 1.5 million, mostly on marketing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagib.
No problem.
Quick question, I'll jump right in, is I understand the problem and people wanting to own their community, own their data, be able to communicate without getting bombarded with competitor ads and all of that. How will this integrate with mainstream social media though, if that's where where the mainstream information is?
Exactly. So what we do is essentially we provide a way for businesses and coaches to actually siphon the users from social media and into the app as well. We incentivize them, right? So essentially it fits into the overall ecosystem, right? So social media is like the start of your funnel for discovery and so forth, but then you funnel them into a community, into a platform where you own your data and your community.
All the recent stuff in the news about these big social platforms being able to manipulate, I watched Social Dilemma, I understand it, and
Nice.
Not only manipulate, but even censor. How will you be impacted by their ability to control what links we can click on and go to? How are you going to get them off of there and onto yours?
Well, see, that's where, it's we can actually leverage their email list, and use any social platforms and whatnot to bring their community together, right? So there's multiple ways to actually get their users and get their users safe. Like for the influencers, we actually say this is like an insurance policy, right? That's one thing I didn't notice actually mentioned in the slides due to lack of time. A lot of our influencers, for no apparent reason, they were blocked on social media. 250,000 followers. One guy, LinkedIn guy, very awesome guy, 500,000 followers. LinkedIn blocked him for 2 weeks and yet to fight them tooth and nail to get his account back. But yeah, happy to talk about it after.
There's a lot of that happening. This is important. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, shadow banning is huge, especially in the arts community. People are fighting to figure out the algorithm so that they can get their posts visible again. My question is, how are you different from Patreon?
So basically what we do with, we have our own app in a day platform. Patreon is our pure web. And essentially we also have a full gamified community, native applications. And this is layers and layers of differences, versus Patreon and so forth. Be happy to elaborate after.
Could you explain their experience of how they're creating an app in a day?
Yeah. So essentially, one thing I'm really proud about is the way we've done it, right? So what we do is we're building this automated platform where we actually deliver the app in a day onto their phone, right? And then they're able to customize it on their phone, right? So it becomes like a generic app that they get, and then they're customizing on the fly. Okay, I want to change my colors. I want to, add this. I want to add my Shopify store, or I want to add my own products and services. Et cetera, et cetera. They can do that on the fly, on their phone. In fact, so yeah.
I didn't catch the cost. I know we're going to run out of time, but what's the cost?
Yeah, so we've been selling like the $250 a month plan and one-time fee of $3,000, but we're actually experimenting with a $99 a month plan, which has been selling really well as well. Like this year, we're all about systemizing and everything. Systemizing our onboarding, systemizing our processes, our sales funnel, marketing funnel, so we can actually achieve that 10x this year.
When did you actually launch? And how many customers? You said you have 18 customers?
Yes, yes. So we did a soft launch in June of 2019. Yeah, and just because you have to, like, even though we were getting feedback before as well, but it's not until money exchanges hands, you can't say that you've actually did a launch, right? So that's why we're counting June 2019 as a soft launch.
That's a lot of time and not so many customers. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about, because our platform is very powerful. Like we did 100K in revenue last year, and we've basically just been really polishing the platform, right? Because before you systemize everything, you need to understand what are the moving pieces, right? So that's what we've been doing, really identifying what those moving pieces are, identifying, really understanding what's our brand, what's our messaging. That's takes time, and building up the right team as well. So I'm happy to say we're there.
Is your only revenue source the subscription plans that you have, or do you have others?
Yes, we do have others. Yes, so subscription is our main one. We have a setup price as well, but we have transaction fees. Since we're also connected with influencers, we're doing cross-pollination where we're selling, let's say, one coach's course to an influencer, and then we're building these referral partnerships through there as well.
Okay, I'm going to have to cut you off there, Sakib. Thanks
Sure.
for your presentation.
No problem.
Again, thank you, judges. And we will have to move on to Chris from Kombucha.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris McCoy, founder and CEO of Kombucha Town. We are a beverage company that is on a mission to disrupt the toxic food and beverage system and create a healthy and environmentally friendly alternative to the soda and energy drinks of the world, which are making people chronically sick from things like diabetes, heart disease, obesity. And so we're not only looking to replace those, but also to help restore the planet while we do that. I founded the company back in 2011. So in the kombucha industry, we've got a great amount of experience. I actually started the business in my early 20s to help support my mother, who had recently been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. So the small business model actually really helped me be flexible to be able to take care of my mom while start really with a very grassroots kind of bootstrap business model, selling our products at farmers markets as well as local accounts. Since we've been innovating through over the last 7 years, we were the first live kombucha in a can back in 2014. That's what really kind of launched the brand and enabled us to start to proliferate and become a more national brand. I've personally experienced great improvements to my health from drinking kombucha. It's something that luckily a fringe benefit of my career has been great health because we're creating healthy products. And that's something that's just sort of the ethos of our whole company and everything that we do. So if you look, we've got three, it's like the slide is stuck. We've got three big pain points that we're looking to suffer. The first I touched base on, which was the fact that the soda and energy drinks that people are consuming is making them very sick. Another big piece of that is that plastic bottles and glass bottles and many beverage companies that package in those formats are some of the biggest polluters on the planet. So that's another thing that we're looking to disrupt through our environmentally friendly packaging, as well as healthy and low impact products. Hey, Churchill, is my slide show, is it still in the second?
In there, maybe try to come out of it and then go back in.
Yeah, let me see if I can get that. I could potentially do it on a different device if need be. That might fix it, actually.
Have your slide handy, so if you just want to keep going, and then I'm sure they have it available with them as well.
Great. Yeah, hopefully this thing will catch up with me. That's obviously poor timing. Okay, so let's go on and look at the kombucha industry and some of our additional innovations. So the biggest innovation, one of the biggest innovations that we've had in the last couple of years was the first product to market in a shelf-stable aluminum can. That's become a major trend in the industry. It's been a very positive trend in kombucha and many different beverage industries. And so now we've got a great new innovation, which is called the live seltzer. And so as kombucha became a more popular industry, and still is a very rapidly growing industry, we're able to capture on a huge opportunity around seltzer water products, which have also been an incredibly strong growth emerging industry. And that's something that really doesn't have any function. So my specialty and focus has been in functional beverages. And so now, having experienced innovating in the kombucha space, being able to really build a national brand and presence from that with the quality of those products, we've been able to innovate and take the benefits of kombucha, which are strongly probiotics and antioxidants, and introduce them into a formula, a seltzer water formula, that has 0 grams of sugar and just 1 or 2 calories. So we're really one-upping the seltzer water industry by adding a lot of function there, when realistically all seltzer water has done has helped people avoid sugar. And so that's a big part of what's causing the health issues with our industry and with the soda and energy drink industry. And so that's our exciting new innovation. We've got 2 major chains that are already going to start rolling out our products at the end of this quarter. That's Whole Foods in the Pacific Northwest, as well as Aldi in Southern California. These are opportunities that could potentially be scaled into national distribution opportunities. We have the distribution set up to do so through our kombucha network, which gives us access to a national distributions infrastructure. Also, we've got recently set up our e-commerce business, which has been scaling exponentially. Through COVID, we had a fair amount of food service businesses that were shut down: bars, restaurants, stadiums, and college campuses. So we've pivoted that capacity and pushed it towards e-commerce, and are continuing to take advantage of those opportunities.
Hey, Chris, your time is up there.
The ask that we... Okay, that's fine. Not being able to share kind of...
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sure they'll catch up.
Let's do questions. Great.
Chris, I know you had a little hang up there. I reviewed the deck prior, so don't worry. I'm sure we've all got it.
Great.
A quick question. How are you pushing the e-commerce?
So we've been using strategic digital advertising partnership. We have a group called Product Vessel out of Canada that actually helps they do all the IP, so all the digital assets for the brand, as well as all of our campaigns. So we've been running email campaigns, kind of updating and really filling out all of our digital advertising strategies and all the different channels that we're working there. So I've been working with them for just about 2 months. So we've been really putting together a year-long plan of all the different kind of selling events that we can take advantage of and capitalize on. For example, this year, or just today actually, the Martin Luther King holiday, we do an email campaign there, and then paid advertising through Google, Facebook, as well as Instagram. And then they also can go on, and our products are available on Amazon as well. And we're about to launch the seltzers on Amazon. So they can go into the back end of all those channels and help to really optimize that. Another exciting piece about that partnership is they actually pay for the ad spend. And that's something that becomes an investment in the brand over time. And so they're able to really do some of the cash requirements of the ability to scale e-commerce, which can then in the business. So that's something that we're excited about. We've already seen some great success. And hey, look, there's the potential for that to grow could become about 10% of our revenue.
Can you tell us a little bit about manufacturing?
It's growing over. What was that?
Can you tell us a little bit about the manufacturing? Are you guys manufacturing all your products yourself, or is that outsourced?
Yeah, we actually do it all in-house. So I've kind of built out from a pilot facility back when we first started the company to now we have a 10,000 square foot production facility that we can do. It is something that really helps us have direct drive and control over our products, as well as being able to make sure that we have the available capacity. That was a big problem in COVID, is a lot of co-packed brands were having disruptions because they couldn't get inventory. So that is something that helps us both innovate and also make sure that we've got security from a production standpoint. So it's all owned and operated in-house.
Real quick, Chris, good job. And I read the presentation as well, so no fret about that. What are your margins?
So our cost of goods sold right now is about 45%. That's all the ingredients, all the labor, all the packaging. Our G&A, we were just about to get above our G&A and kind of break even from an overhead standpoint last year, as we were in 2019 at $1.2 million in revenue. As I'd mentioned, a lot of our business was food service that was closed due to COVID. So now last year we did a little over 850,000 in sales. So we have a lot of available capacity. And part of this raise is also to invest in larger orders of our packaging, which will actually increase our margins to about 70% and reduce that cost of goods sold to 30%. So that'll actually make our break even to cover all of our debt services, G&A, and overhead quite a bit lower. So last year we'll show a fair amount of loss because of the shutdowns and having to pivot to that. But the model is already pretty quickly rebounding to cash profitability. So the investment will help ensure that, as well as make sure that we can grow as in an optimized and efficient way.
How are you looking to scale? You're based in Washington. You have your manufacturing plant there. If you get customers on the East Coast, I'm in Montreal. People love kombucha here. They're in like every corner store. What would you do? You wouldn't really be sending canned kombucha all the way across the country, would you?
So we've done that before, and it's expensive. It's about 10 to 15 basis points of cost to get it across the country. I think that once we see an established amount of demand and have a big anchor account there, which would justify either shipping full truckloads or potentially finding a co-manufacturer over there, would likely be the best bet. I do have, based on my experience in the industry, I do have connections with co-manufacturers, and I have already kind of started to establish a bit of a network of those those facilities, so that when we do need to scale, or if we find a further away opportunity, we'll be able to do that, either produce it closer to the point of origin, or at least get it there in large enough quantities that it doesn't affect our margins drastically.
Fine. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, judges, again.
Thank you, everyone. Please feel free
Especially
to
for letting him know you had
information.
seen his pictures. I know that's very tough when tech lets you down. So, yeah, great recovery.
I was just staring at the first slide the whole time. So thanks for your patience, and have a great day.
You too, Chris. Right. Next up is Lucas from TENZR.
Okay, thanks for your patience, everyone. My name is Lucas, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of TENZR Health. I spent 4 years doing physical therapy to avoid back surgery, and it was frustrating and at times depressing. It had a big impact on my mental health and fitness. The recovery process was riddled with self-reporting and guesswork, and it didn't have to be that way. So at TENZR Health, we're all about bringing digital transformation to the $34 billion outpatient physical therapy industry by delivering physical therapy directly to the consumer, with emphasis on critical joint injuries due to our proprietary tracking technology. 1 in 2 Americans suffer from muscular pain, and injuries continue to increase due to our sedentary lifestyles and growing aging population. Now, physical therapists do great work and are essential, but the industry is riddled with problems. Wait time to see a physical therapist are long, and it's getting worse because there is a severe shortage of therapists. And of course, COVID-19 has made things significantly worse. We solve this using the TENZR Health platform which provides value to all stakeholders, patients, clinicians, and payers. TENZR enables physical therapists and patients to engage in physical therapy from the convenience and safety of their home by providing real-time guidance on rehab exercises and recovery monitoring via intelligent sensors and population data to promote more effective rehab. So the two biggest benefits are patients get guidance 24/7 on demand, and there's no hassle waiting for appointments and having to drive in and see the PT. From a market opportunity perspective, 60 million people in the US suffer pain due to critical joint injuries and would benefit from the TENZR Health platform. We're focused on starting with serving the 30 million Americans suffering from wrist and hand pain. So think of conditions like wrist fracture, wrist arthritis, carpal tunnel, tendonitis, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow. And we focus on the hand because it's an important limb and we have an unparalleled technological advantage. As for the business model, patients subscribe to the TENZR rehab service for $79 a month for 6 months. And our go-to-market strategy is to partner with clinics and to do some online marketing. Here are some of our partnerships with hand surgeons and physical therapists at hospital systems and outpatient clinics in North America for patient referrals. This will be our main customer acquisition channel, and we're actively recruiting more clinicians to work with. Out of the beta patients and therapists on the platform, 100% recommend TENZR to a friend. Quick look at our revenue projections. We're looking to serve 1,000 patients in year 1 of commercial launch and adding at least 25 therapists, which will then trigger us raising Series A to scale TENZR beyond that. And we have the right team to execute on our vision. I'm a serial entrepreneur with experience in healthcare and consumer wellness packaged goods. My co-founder Gautam led and scaled product development at a Class 3 medical device startup through their seed, Series A, and IDE approval through FDA's Breakthrough Devices program. And our VP of Marketing, Gabriel Grigo, has over 25 years of go-to-market expertise, taking physical medicine products like TENZR from launch to 100 million in annual revenue at companies like PowerBar, Cool Systems, Ultra G. We're looking to raise $500,000 on a convertible note, followed by an equity round of $2.5 million later this year. $300,000 has already been committed from existing and new investors within a month of opening up the round. That raise, or the $500,000 raise, will take us to full commercial launch in British Columbia. And once we've onboarded over 100 patients on the platform, we'll raise the remaining $2.5 million to enter the US market. So in summary, our product is complete. What's more, we've made over $250,000 selling pre-launch revenue, selling TENZR for clinical trial use. Our patient satisfaction stands at 9.1 out of 10, and we have a wait list of people wanting access to the TENZR Health platform. And we've secured partnerships that will help us drive adoption. So to reiterate, product is ready, market is ready, and we have patients wanting to buy this now. So join us in our journey so patients don't have to go through the pain that I did. Thank you.
Fantastic timing, right on time.
Okay.
That's a great
Should I
presentation.
just keep the deck up? Oh, thank you. Should I keep the deck up in case?
You can share your screen. That would be great.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and dive in first. So first of all, I want to say that I had wrist surgery about a year ago, 2 years ago, and I feel the pain literally this problem. So thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure. I mean, that's why we're building it. So yeah.
My question is can you go into a little more detail on how it actually works? And specifically what I'm interested in, I saw what looked like a wearable device. That makes sense for maybe your wrist, but how does that work if you have shoulder pain or feet pain, that kind of thing? Yeah. So if you could walk us through that.
Yeah, perfect. So maybe I'll get everyone to get a feel for the technology, the tracking tech, which is patent pending. So if you take your hands up like that, everyone join me in this exercise. Take your right hand, place on your left wrist. Yeah. Now make a fist. Open your hand, wiggle your fingers. You should be able to feel your tendons and muscle moving. Do you feel that? That's what we measure, and it's called force myography, and it's part of our sensing stack. So that technology we have patented for any limb on the body. So it can go in a similar form factor at the ankle. At the shoulder, it will be a different type of form factor. Our go-to-market is focused on wrist and hand because there's many conditions that affect the wrist and hand right now. How does it work? So it tracks tendons and muscle movement. It tracks your range of motion of yours, which you're familiar with, Renee, which is up, down, left, right, or extension, flexion, radial, ulnar in clinical terms, how much you're rotating from your elbow. So we track all of that. And then we've gamified all your rehab exercises that you were supposed to do or should be doing or have been doing, hopefully, and made it fun and easy for you to track your progress and share that with your therapist and your hand surgeon, which I'm assuming you probably had a hand surgeon you worked with closely. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes. I have a follow-on question,
Yes,
though.
please.
So when it sounds like it's a subscription model, which is great. What happens when my therapy's over?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We call it Rehab as a Service. It's early days for us. We're launching in Q2. The best way to think about it today, it's going to be a rental model for 6 months. However, we have product features that we're going to be rolling out that will provide value post-recovery. So you can think about continuum of care. You got the surgery, or you didn't get a surgery, you got a cast off, you took the cast off, you recovered, maybe it took you 3 months or 6 months, and then you're done. But now you don't want to re-injure yourself. You want to avoid tendonitis. You want to avoid carpal tunnel syndrome. So one of the features we'll be releasing at the end of the year is ergonomic monitoring. So pretty much monitor your hand, your wrist ergonomics throughout the day. And we believe that will be a different business model, but that's a way to keep providing value to our customers post-recovery.
And they'll need to purchase like the watch or wrist device first as well.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we believe that the pricing in the model is acceptable. It might not be optimal. So we're going to be playing around with that a little bit. Maybe we have an upfront cost of $50 to $90 for just the wearable, and then it's a $40 subscription post that. Those are kind of things we're going to be experimenting while we're in market post-launch. We've done 15 patients. We've collected a lot of good market data around that, and 79 seems to be acceptable at the moment. The idea is really to get this to be refurbished over time as well, which will help margins as well. Sorry, did that answer your question?
Would this eventually be billable for insurance?
Yeah, so we have a reimbursement strategy in place, and it's actually tied to the ergonomic monitoring, because it's when we can monitor ergonomics in real time, it's considered a virtual brace, a smart brace. So this will be a smart DME, durable medical equipment for people, that's already covered. So going back to the business model, maybe having a hardware payment upfront, that will be fully covered by insurance, and then the subscription will be out of pocket, potentially. But we have, I can walk you through the reimbursement strategy. So it's like a 3-year strategy to get it fully covered, require clinical trials, which we also have planned.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
What happens to the device when the rental period is over? Do the customers just send it back?
The idea is it might be sending back. And the reason I'm hesitating saying a rental model, I want it to be rental, is we've gotten a bit of pushback in the market, especially due to COVID-19 with rental of equipment. People have a bit of hesitation. Yes, they might believe that we can disinfect this properly and all that, and we've taken consideration in the industrial design to make it easy to disinfect. However, until we're truly in the market at month 6, I will let you know if the market is willing to reacquire a DME. And it would be great from a sustainability perspective, to be honest, but we might have to roll that out in 2 years once pandemic is behind folks.
Hi, Lucas. Your time is now up.
Oh,
that was a great,
okay.
Great presentation.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you for your time. Really, pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Lucas.
Thank you.
Up next is Dimitro from Chanty.
All right, so hi everybody, my name is Dmitro, I'm a founder of Chanty. So Chanty is a collaboration platform. It started from the idea when I was consulting Apple Corporation regarding some big project. And basically, I faced the typical problems that any company can experience with the slow team communication, transparency, data loss, and, not having some knowledge base or, the knowledge transfer techniques. So I started to think about how I can solve this. And in 2017, we started our R&D for that. Yes, due to COVID, the opportunity came really bigger. So the telecommunication sector increased by 6 times, and the adoption for all this software due, forced digitalization actually went much bigger. And the market became 23 billion estimated, and the market occupation or acquisition by the main players was ridiculously slow. It's like 10%. And what's also very interesting is that the increase in market acquisition by main players was just 23%. So even that the 6 times increase in market and 22% increase. I thought, okay, this is our chance to actually to start selling this, and we position ourselves a little bit apart from the main competitors on the market, and we are targeting the SMB and SME market. For the companies with more plain organizational structure, they are smaller and with no or little IT skills, IT department in the company. Yeah, last year we grew pretty heavily, so we ended up in 2020 with 18,000 of teams registered. Our customer acquisition costs are twice lower than lifetime value of the customers, but we were open for sales for only a little bit more than 8 months, so we actually got no churn so far. So LTV will probably will be just growing. And yeah, we have 2 models of driving growth. It's a freemium model, obviously, and a sales model. We have pretty big plans for the future, especially for the 2021. So the main idea for Chanty is to replace few apps on your desktop, and actually it became like a Slack plus Trello and plus Zoom together. We already see some really great market reactions on that, because we have a messaging component, it's fully integrated with the project management component in this Kanban boards. And we finally released our video calls, like really limitless technology, very, very good. And yeah, we don't have any limits like, let's say, Zoom has. So yeah, we would like to become a super app for your business. Yeah, so far we did our first 100K revenue that year, and yeah, we see that our ratings are quite nice, and some teams in the very big brands are using Chanty. My current one is the MIT Rocket team. They even send us some testimonial and put our logo on their rocket, so that was really cool. Yes, and for that I built a team with a relevant experience in the field. So Don is doing sales. He was selling, the communication software from Cisco, Webex, Skype, and many other players for the last 15 years. Mia, who's responsible for marketing, she was on the ProtonMail, which is, very similar type of business. It's also global B2B SaaS with the strong focus on security. Security is the key for us. And Alex was actually, for the last more than 20 years, was building high-load protocols for the communications in the defense sector. So again, very, very focused on the security. And yeah, we are raising 1.5 million roughly for establishing a sales department in the target market. So that's basically Americas, US, Canada, and Latam, and empower our marketing materials. Yeah, I'm actually finished. Thanks for your time, and yeah, I'm ready for the questions. Should I stop my screen sharing?
Yeah, if you could just pause your screen share.
All right. Hi.
Hi, I was curious what your pricing is. It seems like if you have that many customers, you could have potentially brought in more revenue last year. Just curious what the pricing was.
Yeah, so we have a lot of free teams. They actually started before we even had a billing page. We currently have 100 of paid customers. Just, I don't know, we started in April, so they came all together at once. This year, by the way, we got already 56 new customers, and our pricing model is, so far we are really cheap, so we are billing just $3 per user per month.
So can you help me understand how your product is different from Slack, for instance?
Yeah, it's like we have like three apps together. So we have the video calling solution, like a Zoom. We have a project management component, I don't know, call it like a Trello, and the chat component, which is like Slack.
Dmitry, does it, Microsoft Teams has all of that built in, doesn't it, or no?
Exactly, but if you're looking at my slides, Microsoft Teams is like in their own infrastructure. So it's on the Microsoft infrastructure, and it's quite locked down there. And the adoption rate for the Microsoft Teams, even in the Microsoft environment, is something like 35%.
Yeah, I was just curious how your pricing compares. I have no idea. That your $3 per user, what do they come out to?
Microsoft Teams is included in Office for free. So basically, you pay for the Office.
Yeah, my whole work life revolves around using those three apps: Trello, Zoom, and Microsoft Teams. I guess my question is, is there is there an encryption? Is there something that you could potentially, attract people with that is different from just being on those three apps altogether?
Definitely. First, while having three apps, you spend much less time by switching the context between the apps and trying to connect them all together. So that's very important. You're basically saving time there. Encryption, we have a bank level of encryption because, yeah, like I said, we all were more or less connected with the encryption. Actually, my other companies, they are in the financial sector where privacy and security is the key.
I was going to say congratulations on being in the right place at the right time with the 600% increase in demand. And I thought it would be higher than 600% increase actually, but I think you guys are in the right space. This is not going anywhere.
Thank you. Yes, we are. Yeah, we have a pretty decent year actually. Unfortunately, thanks to COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it seems like there's a lot of room for more apps like Chanty, even though there's big names like Zoom and Trello and Slack, but there's a lot of room for this. I think you just have to find a way to be a little bit different or market it different.
Exactly. Yes. This software is all like it's very common, but in the same time, the devil is in details. So yeah, these details, they are different. So of course, we are serving our market in our like a target niche, I would say. So yeah, that makes a difference, or actually it drives adoption.
How do you plan to increase that price over time? That's always a challenge when you've got users at $3. You have people at $3 a user. You've got 18,000 teams. How do you plan to increase that price on them?
We already see some sort of like an increase because in our business plan we are setting some sort of resources like a storage space, like numbers of integrations and so on. And while teams are growing organically by adding more people, getting more data, they are actually increasing their bill over time. So the price for the user is one thing, but also the prices for resources is another story.
Okay.
I think Zoom grew so quickly because there was a free option. Is there going to be one on this, for like video conferencing for a limited amount of time? How are you going to grow your customer base from the get?
Yeah, so there is sort of like a virality effect when we are talking about like inviting externals to your team to call, to the software. So that's one point how we can actually create a viral effect. And of course, yes, we have a freemium model which drives the users to try the software and then decide they consider to buy it or not.
Dimitri, your time is up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for pitching. Good to start.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm John Quinn. I'm the CEO of Exos Aerospace. At Exos, our mission in life is not to build and fly a low Earth orbit capable reusable rocket, but rather to enable other brilliant minds to change the world for the better. I'll give you a couple examples. First, the rapid space manufacturing of mesenchymal stem cells, or MSCs, for regenerative medical treatments have shown phenomenal results in clinical trials after returning from the International Space Station. Secondly, enabling development and deployment of reusable hypersonic technologies that will drastically reduce point-to-point travel times in the new global economy. Our vision is to combine the best of SpaceX reusability and Virgin Orbit's air launch. To put it simply, if SpaceX Falcon 9 and a Virgin Orbit Cosmic Girl 747 had a space baby, you'd get an Exos reusable LEO air launcher. So Exos is one of 4 companies in the world that have demonstrated flight of a licensed reusable rocket. The MSC stem cell experiment I just mentioned took 5 years. Access to space is just too inflexible under the current constraints. However, with air launch and reusability, Exos can perform similar missions in just months. Today, we're all familiar with SpaceX. They can, for 25% of the cost of a new vehicle, they can go back to space in just 52 days. Blue Origin can do it in 60 days. And at Exos, for about 10% of the cost of a new vehicle, we can go back to space this week. Exos has demonstrated our reusability with our SARG suborbital autonomous rocket with guidance and entry platform. While not as glamorous as using propulsive landing, our vehicle re-enters Earth's atmosphere under drogue, as you see in picture 3 here, and it returns to the launch site, as you see in picture 4, under a GPS guided canopy. Now, the canopy only weighs 1/3 of what the fuel would weigh, so instead of using propulsive, it makes more sense for us at our scale to use this recovery system. Now, my favorite vehicle the team has built is the rocket-powered Canard aircraft shown here in the bottom center picture. It's demonstrated 1,000 engine starts and hundreds of in-air relights with human pilots, demonstrating our reusability. Now, this is what the Exos Space Baby flight profile looks like when orchestrated by Exos Aerospace and our joint venture partner, Phoenix Space, which is a combination of a reusable rocket and a glider for air launch. This slide shows the U.S. Air Force validation of this concept of hypersonic reusable launch vehicles. And not only did they approve our initial design by granting a phase 1, they also awarded a phase 2 follow-up build contract for us to go build that hypersonic reusable launch vehicle. Now, there are competitors in this field. It comes down to this. While Generation and Lockheed Martin both can fly vehicles and launch from the air, can they reuse it and maintain a constant Mach number? And the answer to that is no, giving us a benefit. Our global expansion is done through what we call a National Charter Enterprise Program, where countries invest in our technologies to reduce our risk of expanding in their country, and we bring our developed space technologies into their nation. We currently have an LOI in place with the Basilicata region of Italy, and that also has a charge number associated with it, and a cooperation agreement in place with the Piemonte region. Exos will be building our LEO rockets in Italy and our air launch vehicles in the US. We're doing it to participate in a $424 billion space industry. And our team, through the last 20 years, has built hundreds of rocket engines and dozens of flying vehicles. and all leading to a potential investor exit as early as 2024 to 2026. We have a diverse team of engineers and rocket scientists, very small team here on the right, and business moguls off to the left. And with that, I will open up to your questions.
Perfect timing. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. This was the one deck that I was reviewing pre-event that I thought I better wait and let him present it. It was too hard for me to understand everything on the deck, but I am a pilot, so I understand some of this, and I'm very curious about it.
One might have his connection. I'm not sure why he's just gone there. I will.
Bummer. I wanted to hear more about this.
Oh, there he is. Must have been a mistake.
Oh, we lost him again.
There he is.
All right, I'm back. Great.
Oh, lost you in there, John. I was just saying I reviewed this prior, and this was the one presentation I knew I was going to need you to explain because there's a lot to this one. But
yeah,
I'm
you're a pilot, so you've got it.
Yeah, I'm a pilot, so I understand all of it. I was just wondering what are you using to get them up to 40,000 feet?
A 737 is the perfect aircraft because we don't even have to own it. We can just lease the 747 and tow the glider, and the glider gets shipped around the world in a container. So pretty easy plane to retrofit. Takes about 8 hours to put the hook on and then about 8 hours to pull it off. So we'd use a cargo 737 or a C-130 if we're doing it with the Air Force because they have the right kind of speeds for takeoff.
And how long have you guys been in operation? How much, tell me a little bit about the funding. What have you raised to get to this point and what are you raising now?
So the company came out of Armadillo Aerospace, started in 2000. I came into the picture in 2014 when John Carmack put the program into hibernation mode after the guys had flown a reusable rocket. So I couldn't let it stop. I engaged one of my business partners, David Mitchell, fourth generation oil man, guy who taught me how to trade stocks so I could fire my boss. We each put in about $1 million, and then we've raised 5.7 million since through private offerings to many of our students across the country that we teach stock trading to. Or I used to teach to.
I'm also a financial advisor, so I do stock trading and flying, so we might have to talk more.
Yeah, I had to go get a Series 65 license to be able to continue teaching. So yeah, I can relate.
And you're messing with private equity, so you definitely need that series.
Absolutely.
I'm married to a pilot. Does that count?
Oh, sure.
I'm
that makes
kidding.
you like smart.
What are you raising? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Renee.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You finish your question.
I didn't catch at the end. You've raised 5.7 million, but what are you raising now?
We're in a $1 million round, which is basically to cash flow our hypersonic development for the Air Force, as well as taking our Sarge 2 rocket back to launch and restoring our runway. And that's just to get us ready for a $30 million round to develop the air launch capability in the US for an orbital vehicle.
Where's your runway?
Right now we're at about 4 months. So
I understand that. Yeah. Thinking too much like a pilot now.
Spaceport America.
Can you tell me a little bit about the demand that you're seeing for this service and what some of the use cases, some additional use cases, and where you think kind of the early adopters will land?
Yeah, so we're a NASA ready provider now. That's a $20 million a year potential for flight services. Orbital obviously goes much bigger. You know, our vision very much aligns around that MSC stem cells I talked about. It's personal. My dad has had a hemorrhagic stroke and is living with the consequences of such a stroke. It is the #2 killer in the world. And the MSC stem cells in clinical trials took Larry Harvey. Now he's Center for Applied Space Technology. His neighbor had the same stroke, couldn't even walk without assistance of a walker. And we can't find him right now because he's out wandering the world after having this treatment. So it's a little bit personal. Honestly, my expectation is that the military and hypersonic development companies will be our first adopters, because we have a capability that doesn't exist today, and that is the capability of maintaining a constant Mach number, which helps us select the least expensive vehicles that we need to make hypersonic vehicles. But the real vision and mission would be to support the biomedical research that would ultimately change the way the world does medicine today. Stem cells are natural in our body. They actually treat the problem and not the symptom. Great question.
Well, your time is up now, John. Thank you so much for that. Judges, thank you very much for tonight and your attentiveness for the presentations. I know it can be a long process going through so many at once. That's the final presentation for the evening. There's going to be some panel sessions from 7:30 to 8:15 if you guys would like to go and watch them and take part. And then there'll be the networking session after this as well. So thank you to all the startups that pitched, and thank you to the judges.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.